What's up, everybody? Steve here with Steve Invest. I'm here with a special guest. He goes by the name of Bubba, and I'm actually going to go ahead and let him introduce himself and a little bit of background and what he does and where he's at.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Man, Steve, I know if you're watching Steve's channel, he's a great guy. I remember a while back we connected on YouTube, and I've been watching you ever since, man. I appreciate all the content that you're putting out there. It really does. It helps all of us in the community, and I think that's what YouTube's about. Like you said, my name is Bubba Thompson. I'm a Texas real estate agent. I'm going on 5 years. And, I have a YouTube channel out there, it's for new agents. And kind of what I do is kind of give information to new agents about, my experiences that could, hopefully help these new agents. Because you and I both know that there's a lot of people that get into real estate and there's a lot of them that don't make it.
Yep.
So, and I think it's because, they watch some of these channels in YouTube and they think it's a, get rich quick type situation, and it's not, man. There's a lot of hustle. You got to really work. You got to be really creative. So that's kind of what I do. I try to help people stay in this career a little bit longer and survive and not just bail out so quickly.
Mad respect there, because it is a difficult industry to tap into for sure. So we're going to drop some knowledge bombs today for you guys, and also more specifically as well, we're going to talk about what's going on in Texas, what Bubba's concentrating on for some of his investors in the vacation rental aspect of things. So we're just going to play off of each other and see what's going on, because I know I've done several videos of vacation rental properties in Florida specifically. So Texas is obviously a different area, different location, different types of properties. So we want to learn more about that from Bubba. And also, I'm going to make sure that I drop all the information down below for you guys as well, with all Bubba's contact information. And if you guys are in the market to purchase and any new real estate agents, you'll get all his information down below as well. So Bubba, how long have you been in real estate?
I started in 2016. So, I'm going on my fifth year now in real estate. And, I started part-time, like most of us have done. And, I've done videos about doing part-time, and it can be done, but you got to work twice as hard.
Yeah.
So, I did it until I got on my feet. I think it was 4 or 5 months, maybe part-time. And then I jumped in full-time. So yeah, since 2016.
You know what I appreciate your videos and helping other real estate agents is, you're humble, and a lot of times that can get lost even on YouTube. It's like, I think people learn better from people that are just more humble in the business and talk about mistakes and talk about the real stuff, not just the flashy things of what you could do in real estate, but more so, just being humble about the whole process. So I appreciate that for sure, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you watching.
Yeah, for sure. So Texas, let's talk about real quickly, if you don't mind, to share with our audience what happened in the state of Texas with this winter storm, man.
Man, it got cold. We're not, in Texas, our weather's, it stays pretty much the same. We have hot summers, but recently we haven't had cold winters. And, if we do, it doesn't last very long. And what we had was usually in North Texas, we get the cold, and down in South Texas, it doesn't get as cold. But what happened was this cold weather front just came and covered the whole state of Texas. And obviously we were not prepared for that. I mean, we had electric off, we had water off. I mean, at my house, we were on electric here, and gas actually, but gas was out because the refineries were frozen. So, so we had no gas for heat, we had no electric, and we had no water. So cold showers and grilling out on a fire pit that my wife bought. So we were, I brought back some of those old camping days, but, I laugh at it because I've made it through it, but there's a lot of people that are really struggled with this situation. And, I'm still talking with some of my friends and family and clients in their communities, and they're just now getting water on. So, I mean, it's really been a struggle. 2 weeks without running water is pretty tough.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I watched and read some articles of, the amount of people that actually died. I think it was the death count was up to like 70 or over 70 people. And also I read an article about some of the farmers, and, they were not too happy because they're just, their livestock are dying off, and it's going to be, unfortunately, when we have natural disasters like this, yeah, when you come out of it, you said earlier before we got on, like the weather is like 70 degrees right now, and everything's fine and getting back to normal. But the thing is, there's so many repercussions long term. So, the cost of food's going to go up probably because of, the amount of livestock that, perished during that time. So there's a lot of stuff that I think people are not going to really realize of the adverse effects for the long term.
Yeah, and it's not, and that aspect as well is changing, and then the real estate situation is also being affected by, like you and I were discussing before. Now I'm having to go back and do second inspections on these homes that we're getting ready to close. I mean, sometimes some of them, from what I hear, the lenders are going to require that as well.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean,
yeah.
pipes breaking, like you said,
all over the place. So right now, like, we're getting, matter of fact, from your area, we have plumbers coming in to Texas to help out, because I had a client that their pipe busted, and they tried to call 3 different plumbers, and they were 2 to 3 weeks out. And you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that, try to get materials, it's not there.
It's not there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Man,
That's
and
crazy.
especially during the pandemic, when all materials and labor and everything else is dried up anyway, it's kind of a tsunami of things. Yeah, and prices went up for sure.
Yeah.
Well, moving on. So you're selling some vacation rental properties in Texas. Let's talk about a little bit about what types of properties and where.
Yeah. So here in North Texas, at Lake Texoma, to be specific, it's always been kind of a vacation area. I've been in the area since 1977. Matter of fact, my parents lived in the Metroplex, and we had a lake house on Lake Texoma. So that's kind of how we ended up there in 1977. So, it's basically, I hear the same story over and over and over again. People just get tired of the hustle and bustle of the city life and the traffic, and want to be somewhere, where they can kind of relax and take a break. And once you visit these vacation areas, like, I visit Florida a lot, and every time I go there, I say, man, I just want to move here.
Yeah.
So they do the same thing up there at the Lake Texoma. The town that I'm in is Pottsboro, Texas. If you look it up, it's, the city limit, the population is just over 2,000 people. But outside the city limits is where most people live. And so vacation rentals there are huge. And especially since everything happened last year, everybody was getting away, couldn't go on vacations, abroad or anything like that. So they were looking for something more local. So, the Metroplex were about an hour and a half away from the Dallas Metroplex area. So more people were flooding up there. So once more people came, then they realized, hey, this could be an area, and it's not a bad drive back to my work in Dallas. So more and more people are actually making full-time purchases up there. But those vacation rentals, man, they have, as you and I were talking earlier, I've got a list of clients right here that are still searching for VRBO, something to VRBO. And so it's constant. Most of my clients right now, that's what they're looking for. And the types of homes that they're looking for, they're not these huge, 3,000 square foot homes. They would love to have, a 3 to 1,500 square foot, single story home close to the lake. And one thing that I try to provide for my clients is picking those hot spot areas, close to marinas, close to restaurants or golfing. So when someone does come there to stay, they're not just staying in the house. They have access to the lake or to boat rentals or golfing, restaurants, and things like that.
That's nice, man. That's nice. So some of those areas, is it, is it walking distance to some of the lakes and area attractions and restaurants and everything, or how's that look?
Yes. Yeah, so some of these areas are, like I said, right in within resort areas even. But yes, golf cart ride or a walk to the beach and things like that. So yeah, definitely. One thing that we have to look out for is HOAs, and
Mm-hmm.
because yes, there are some excellent excellent homes in perfect spots, but they're in a HOA that do not require or do not let short-term rentals in. So
Yep.
we got to, you don't want to get your client into a situation of purchasing a home. If they're thinking about doing that, you need to, as a real estate agent, you need to do your research before you go and sell a property like that.
Yeah, that's the battle that we have in
Mhm.
Florida as well. There's a lot of restrictions for short-term rentals and all that kind of stuff. So it's important, to do your due diligence and get a real good real estate agent that knows the area, knows certain
Mhm.
associations, which ones to stay away from. That's vital to good investing. What kind of price points are you guys looking at?
Most of them are staying, 350 or below.
Nice.
Um, and you can get a decent property. Obviously, everything's skyrocketing right now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really it's crazy right now. When we're looking at homes, we're doing CMAs, and we're looking at these prices, and you and I both look at these prices. Sometimes we go, "What the hell are these people thinking?" Pricing that,
Yeah.
and the next thing you know, it goes under contract and it
Yeah.
sells for list price or above. And then, so right now, we're just throwing up our hands as far as these market values because, before in this one community, I could almost guarantee it. All the homes were selling for $135 a square foot now, and that was a year or two ago, right? So now those same kind of homes are selling for 165, 177, 199 a square foot. So it's pretty amazing.
That's a significant jump. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about that.
Yeah. And so you just, as for me as a real estate, we have to really do our due diligence and make sure, because you don't want to, it's tough to buy high. It really is. So you have to make sure you're buying the right house, and these investors can get their return out of it.
So that's a great point. And our real estate agents in our office, they come to me with this kind of question as well. And I want to ask you that question. And I have my own kind of response to investors as well
Mhm.
as just a traditional buyer. What do you say to the person that's like, I feel the market's really high. Should I buy right now? Or should
Yeah.
I wait?
Yeah, and we always get that. I have one right now. Should I buy or should I
Yeah.
wait? And and that's always a question. Okay, so 5 years ago, when everything was doing this kind of the same thing, should I buy or should I wait? Well, you should have bought, right?
Right.
Because look at it now. 2 years ago, when everything was going crazy again, should I buy or should I wait? Well, you should have bought. So that's kind of what we're into right now is should I buy or should I wait? Well, let's look at the market. What's the market do? You don't want to buy it higher than everybody else. You don't want to be the big dog on the block because you're going to have to wait a little bit longer to get a return. But from what I see in state of Texas right now, and you probably read, is all these companies coming here. So
Yep.
what does that do? That's bringing more and more people here. So what I'm seeing, more and more people that are coming from out of state are moving into these metroplex areas. So the
Yep.
people that are living in those metroplex areas are getting away. They're going, hey, I don't want this. I'm going to go back out. So that's kind of what's driving the prices up. But I see it still going to be climbing for a little while because it's not just a spur of the moment. Everybody moved here at once. It's going to, it's gradually keeps going and going and going. So that's kind of my response. What do you tell your clients or go over with?
It's comparable. I mean, the demand is there. Obviously, Texas as well as Florida.
Mhm.
Florida has literally been renamed the free state. Ron DeSantis has crushed it in terms of keeping everybody safe with the pandemic and everything
Yeah.
else, and keeping things open and allowing businesses to not just survive but now thrive. And
Mhm.
you know people are recognizing that and people are coming to Florida. So when you have a big surplus of people coming to any area or state, it's going to drive prices up because the
Mhm.
demand's up. So what I just ask questions with a lot of people. What's your intention on what you're going to do with the property, and then is there an exit strategy? Are you trying to sell in 2 years or 4 years?
Exactly.
If you're trying to sell in a couple years, then it might not make sense. I don't know what the market's going to do, but if you're like prime example, my brother, he just bought a beach property up in Santa Rosa Beach in the Panhandle. And he was asking me, he's like, the market's high, should I buy? And I was like, well, what's the plan? What are you going to do with it? And right now he's using it, and he has in the vacation rental program. And I just asked him the series of questions, are you going to sell it in 5 years, 10 years? And he thinks he's going to hold it on long-term, which is fantastic. So that kind of checks that box. Yeah. And then the second thing is, what level of happiness are you going to get from the property? And then the third thing is, if you're taking debt, make sure you take a good 30-year fixed, good rate loan on a property, because, if shit hits the fan, then you can rent it out, or you're not going to be forced to do a refinance or sell the property. So it's kind of those three boxes that I kind of go through with people. And a big thing is with what we're talking about vacation rental properties is, we get investors that come here, and some of the investments don't make sense. They don't, based on what you're going to buy it for. I'm like, you'll lose money every month on it. I go, but are you and your family going to be using it? And they say yes. And they talk about how often, and then what value can you put on that in terms of the family getting together and using these properties and enjoying it and getting the hell out of certain states, getting the hell out of certain cities. So I think it's a combination of those things. And obviously nobody wants to buy at the top of the market, but in some cases it makes sense.
It does. Like I said, like we're both talking about, if you can get that return, if it all makes sense, and then, it's definitely a good thing to do. And one thing I look at is, hey, I've got some CPAs that are doing this as well. So, if they're doing it, there's probably something to make sense of there.
Yeah. No,
and the rates, you touched on the rates. Second home rates right now are ridiculous. I mean, they're so low right now. That's probably another reason why, it makes sense to use someone else's money to buy these second homes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, I even the government's telling us that they're pushing inflation, and the amount of money that they're printing, we're going to see inflation. And if you guys are in a really good debt position and you're renting it out, it's essentially going to be free money because of the rate that you're taking it at in today's market. So and obviously that's another driving force for demand, is everybody's just getting these cheap artificial loans,
Yeah, it's crazy. Nuts.
I think down the road the banks are going to be begging for people to sell their properties,
so they can get out of it and get something new with a higher rate or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing that I've considered too, is there might be a lot of people that will not sell in the future because they have a locked in really good rate. And then if they try to move up as a buyer or move down, they're looking at the new rates that if they sold the property and got a new rate or a new mortgage 3 years from now, they're going to be like, none of that makes sense.
Yeah. They're like, where's my 2.4 interest rate? Where'd that go?
Exactly. Now it's 9% or double digit. Who knows?
Yeah.
So in your market out there with the vacation rental properties, how are certain properties standing out from other properties? Like, walk us through like a particular vacation rental property and what people are doing to kind of differentiate themselves from the competition for renting them out.
So where I'm at the lake, so most clients or most people looking to stay in the area, they want something that's a cabin lake feel. I hear this all the time. I want to feel like I'm at the lake. I don't want to feel like I'm in a suburb.
Yep.
So, I mean, when I search for these VRBOs, we're not looking for, something in a regular community, a brick home. That's not what we're looking for. That's not what's renting out. That's not what's selling. You can go, find an older cabin just in the middle, not even close to the lake, in the middle of the woods somewhere, that's going to rent out better than someone in a community with a brick and mortar home, just your normal house. So what hot tubs are big, fire pits, so the fire pits in the backyards, things like that. So everyone that we're doing right now, we're looking at properties that have, some outdoor space,
Nice.
because you can have the smaller property as long as you have that deck and open up and people can enjoy the outdoors right there. So that's a big plus, those outdoor living areas.
So what you're saying is, and I think it's comparable across the board, it's the experience. They're experiencing something different
The
than
lifestyle.
the suburb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
yeah.
nice.
And so even when I have, people moving in, permanent homes, that's what they want. So they're moving from, Metroplex areas, or the Frisco areas, Plano area. They don't want that anymore. They want the lake home. They want to feel like they're at the lake. They want that rustic, rugged feel. I mean, they want nice product, but they still want that lake feel.
So, and I got some thoughts on this. And I know it appears you have literally a list of people because you keep staring up at that one board. It looks like you have a bunch of people there. Like,
so I've got I mean, I'm sure you keep a list of clients, or I have them in a book here, but I use a board. And the reason why I use a board, I'm really digital and I do everything on phone or computer digital. But this board right here, I've got a board right here, and every time I walk into my office, I see this. This is my hot list.
Keeps it refreshed.
As soon as I walk in, I see that, and I know that I got to keep following up with those people.
Yeah,
it's a constant reminder for me. It helps me out.
I do the same exact thing. I've handwritten paper.
Yeah,
literally, again, in the digital world, handwritten list of everybody that needs something, and I just go through it every single day because it's that refresh, and all of a sudden a property will pop up and you're like, oh, okay, I got this person, and it's fresh on the mind, and you can really help people. That I really appreciate that. So those people on that board, they might have a level of frustration due to the lack of inventory. Are you doing anything different to try to get them properties, or what's your strategy?
I'm trying to hit off-market properties. So I'll go back and search, this takes time, like everything. So, this might be something you have to do late at night or early in the morning. You have to get up 2 hours earlier or go to bed 2 hours later. But you go and search these properties that were maybe listed before.
Yep.
For instance, I've got this one. It's a $1.4 million lakefront home, walk to the beach. It was listed on the market a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. It's been off the market, but I have a client that's in that price point, wants that exact same thing. So I just tracked down the seller and called him and said, hey, you still interested in selling? He said, sure. He lives in the Dallas area, but this is a lake home, but he made the trip up there so I could show his property. So things like that, going a little bit, different strategy, going, just calling it, if I see a house that maybe, fits something that my client's looking for, it's not on the market, just try to reach out to them and just see, hey, would you be, if I could, would you, type deal, is there a price? Everybody has a price point. So, but figuring out what that is something you're gonna have to pick up the phone and call them and use that kind of strategy.
I love it. Anybody that's watching this right now, if your realtor is not doing that, find another real estate agent, because in the time that there's limited inventory, you have to do what Bubba's talking about. And prime example, and it's exactly what you're talking about. Literally 3 or 4 days ago in my community where I'm at on Bonita Beach, good friends of mine, they always come out and frequent from Ohio, and they're like, we want to buy something in your community. And there's two listings in there. And there was a 2.2 for 540 and then a 3.2 for 6.25, something like that. And so we were strongly considering the 2.2, and sure enough, man, I pulled up any withdrawn, terminated, or expired listing. So an expired listing, for people watching, it's basically a listing agent will have a contract to list that property for a certain duration. If it doesn't sell, it expires, goes off market. Withdrawn is they still have an active listing agreement in the state of Florida anyway. They still have an active listing agreement, but they took it off for whatever reason. And then terminated. They just decided they didn't want to sell it any longer. So we have to go above and beyond to scout these properties out. And here's why. And I feel like we got them a hell of a deal. So the 2.2 that was 540, I found an expired listing comparable to that 2.2. And we got him, it's better condition, a 2.2 with a boat dock. The boat dock's valued around 35, and we got him all in for 510.
There you go.
And I didn't even go to the seller. I knew the listing agent on it and dealt with them in the past. I went directly to the listing agent and said, hey, is this guy still interested in selling? And he said, let me check. And sure enough, we put the deal together. We're still both compensated commissions on the deal. And I feel that our buyer got a heck of a deal, and the seller is good as well, because he just wanted to get out of the property and not have to worry about showing it necessarily while he has seasonal guests in the property. So it worked out really well. So what Bubba's saying, I mean, you hit the mark. I mean, a lot of real estate agents, they don't get it. You know, you have to do a little bit more work to get the deals out there.
Yeah. And you made another good point is, relationships, not just with our clients, but relationships with other agents.
Yep.
Because you were able to just call up that phone and get that other agent to work with you, and they already had that relationship with their client. So it made that whole process just a little bit easier. So building those relationships, man, it's so huge.
It really is. And coincidentally enough, my condo in that same complex was an expired listing as well. And I bought that 3 years ago. So it is. And I went direct to that real estate agent as well. So relationships are huge. And if you are a real estate agent, yes, we're competing in a sense, but at the same time, we're all working together.
Yeah, we really are. And if you look at it, the only, I always talk about competition, or I don't talk about competition, because really this is the guy I'm competing with right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I just, building relationships with everybody. And people, I remember one time I built a relationship. I went to an open house of a real estate agent out on the lake one time. I was checking it out for a client, out of state client. And I was the only one that showed up to the open house. Well, I just sat there and I chatted with this agent. Well, she ended up getting ill or something. And so she had 2 listings. She gave those 2 listings to me.
Wow.
And then I ended up selling those 2 listings. And then she ended up giving me 3 of her buyer clients that ended up buying. And this all happened within a 6-month period.
Wow.
So, and that was, I didn't know this person. We just sat there and talked real estate and about the lake for about 30 minutes one day at an open house. Oh, but also she went on vacation one time. She worked for a brokerage with, 100 plus agents in them. But she went on vacation one time and had someone wanted to view that particular house. And for whatever reason, she didn't call someone in a brokerage. She asked if I would mind showing it. And I did, and she said, if they buy, you can have the buyer, but they didn't end up buying. But doing that a little bit extra gave me, 5 deals, 6 months.
That's awesome. And you made that connection. Like you said, that they have, 100 agents in that office, but you're the one who made that connection. You took the time and really got to build that rapport. And that's awesome, man. I got a lot of respect for you, what you're doing over there in Texas, man.
Yeah, we're just trying to hustle.
As mentioned, I'm going to put all Bubba's contact information below where you can find them. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel, especially if you're a new real estate agent or even a veteran real estate agent looking to get into the business. Check that out. And then we'll put a link for Bubba's website where you can find him if you're looking for properties in the Texas area. So when you say your area in Texas, where you're at, give us an idea geographically, some of the areas that you work.
So my main area is the Lake Texoma area, which is, north of Dallas. So really from Dallas on up basically to the Oklahoma border. Lake Texoma is right there. It's a huge lake right there on the border. But the funny thing about me is I'm all over the place. So I also work Lake Conroe, which is just north of Houston, right? So I used to be in the Austin area, but I've kind of moved out of the Austin area. I have some sponsored agents in that area. So if you need help in that area as well, we can definitely help you there. But as you can see, I focus around lakes are my thing, outside of Metroplex areas.
I mean, let's touch on that real quick before we depart. Niching out and focusing in is extremely important. You just hit it. Like you're concentrated on lakefront properties, right?
And so it's, it's tough, as a new agent, you go in, you're like, I want to sell to anybody. Well, it's just like on YouTube or YouTube channels, right? So I remember when I started my YouTube channel, I was kind of all over the place. I was doing, product reviews, house tours, just community stuff. And then, so I ended up narrowing my one channel down to just for new agents, right? So from real estate down to new agents, and boom, it took off. Same thing with real estate. Once I started focusing on, my community right there, for one thing, it made it easier on me because that's all I had to do videos about was the lake communities, which I'm huge on videos. If anybody's looking about marketing or whatever, do video. It's still the king. But yeah, so that's niching down. It's hard to think about doing that because you feel like in the beginning you're going to limit yourself, but really you're not. You're going to become the expert, and everybody's going to, when they're searching on Google or something like that, they're looking for lake homes in Pottsboro, or Lake Texoma homes. I mean, you're going to be there. What's happening around Lake Texoma? You're going to be the person, or whatever your area is. And that's what I tell people: start small, start in your community, and then build out from there. I think that's a good way to do it.
I agree. And anybody that's watching this too, if you're in real estate or any kind of business, get on YouTube. Even, we were talking about it with my team literally yesterday. Within the last 2 weeks, just from YouTube leads alone, we have six or seven leads that came in just off of YouTube. We do have 2 channels. I have this one and then one for the state of Florida. And we have 6 or 7 leads that came in. And what's crazy is the people that inquire, they feel like they know you already because you've built that rapport without
no like and trust.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, especially in the real estate game, I feel like the people that watch your videos and you've already have that rapport building without really having to do it, they're going to be more loyal to you as well. And I'm sure you find that as well. Am I right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, matter of fact, I'm working, I have a client that's flying in from state of Washington. What did he do? On Google, looking for homes in a certain area. And he said, my videos kept on popping up, and that's why he called me. I have a guy coming in from North Carolina. Same thing. Matter of fact, I did a video about tiny homes. I don't even sell the tiny homes, but it's an interest. So I did some tours of a tiny home community. Well, I've gotten calls about those tiny homes, but they're not looking for tiny homes, but they love the tiny homes, but they're looking for actual regular homes in the area. So, I mean, but it's all on YouTube, and people have to remember YouTube and Google.
Yep.
It's the same. So people out there searching, everybody's searching, they're going to be searching on Google.
That's the biggest tip that you can get from Bubba on this is you got to put yourself out there, and when you do, all these things start happening. And it's like even us doing a collaboration right now, because we both put ourselves out there, we ended up crossing paths, and we're gonna do more of this. And also, if you guys enjoyed Bubba and I talking and kind of bullshitting together, comment below, see if you guys want us to do this again, and what kind of topics do you guys want us to talk about. We appreciate any feedback.
Yeah, definitely.
And Bubba, I appreciate your time today, man. And as mentioned, I'll put everything down below so you guys can reach out to Bubba and get all his contact information as well, and check him out on YouTube.
I appreciate it, Steve, man.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Take care, dude.